Chapter 15, Unemployment. Chapter 15 is the chapter in the sequence on the level and growth of output in the long run. As we learned in Chapter 12, capital and labor are among the primary determinants of output and growth. The purpose of Chapter 15 is to introduce you to the labor market. We will see how economists measure the performance of the labor market using unemployment statistics. We will also address a number of sources of unemployment and some policies that the government might use to lower certain types of unemployment. Employment statistics are produced by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, based on a monthly survey of 60,000 households and based on the adult population, that is 16 years or older. The BLS places each adult into one of three categories: employed, unemployed, or not in the labor force. Those considered employed are paid employees, full-time and part-time workers in their own business, temporarily absent such as vacation, illness, bad weather, and maternity or paternity leave. Those considered unemployed are those who are not employed but are available for work and try to find employment during the previous 4 weeks, and those who are waiting to be recalled to a job after being laid off. Those considered not in the labor force are not employed and not unemployed, such as full-time students, homemakers, and retirees. Remember that those who are under 16 years of age are not included in the adult population. As such, they are not included in the labor force either. Let's delve into the formulas. Labor force is the total number of workers, including both employed and unemployed. Labor force equals to number of employed plus number of unemployed. Unemployment rate is the percentage of the labor force that is unemployed. Unemployment rate equals to number of unemployed divided by labor force times 100%. Labor force participation rate is the percentage of the adult population that is in the labor force. Labor force participation rate equals to labor force divided by adult population times 100%. Consider this example, data from December 2021. In that month, there were 156 million employed and 6.3 million unemployed. The labor force can be taken by summing the number of employed and the number of unemployed. That is 156 million plus 6.3 million equals to 162.3 million. Then we can calculate the unemployment rate by taking the number of unemployed divided by labor force. That is 6.3 million divided by 162.3 million times 100% equals to 3.88%. Because the adult population was 262.1 million, the labor force participation rate can be calculated by taking labor force divided by the adult population. That is 162.3 million divided by 262.1 million times 100% equals to 61.9%. Consider this as an exercise. Compute the labor force, unemployment rate, adult population, and labor force participation rate using this data. Adult population of the U.S. by group, July 2022. Number of employed, 158.3 million. Number of unemployed, 5.7 million. Number of not in the labor force, 100.1 million. Let's start with computing the labor force by summing the number of employed and the number of unemployed. Labor force equals to 158.3 million plus 5.7 million equals to 164 million. Next, the unemployment rate can be found by dividing the number of unemployed by the labor force, then multiplying by 100%. So unemployment rate equals to 5.3 million divided by 164 million times 100% equals to 3.5%. Then the adult population can be found by summing the number of labor force and the number of not in the labor force. Adult population equals to 164 million plus 100.1 million equals to 264.1 million. Lastly, the labor force participation rate can be found by dividing the number of labor force by the number of adult population, then multiplying by 100%. Labor force participation rate equals to 164 million divided by 264.1 million times 100% equals to 62.1%. Here, the table presents other measures of labor under utilization calculated by the BLS. U1, that is persons unemployed 15 weeks or longer as a percent of the civilian labor force, includes only very long-term unemployed. U2, that is job losers and persons who have completed temporary jobs as a percent of the civilian labor force, excludes job leavers. U3, that is total unemployed as a percent of the civilian labor force, that is the official unemployment rate. U4, that is total unemployed plus discouraged workers as a percent of the civilian labor force plus discouraged workers. U5, that is total unemployed plus all marginally attached workers as a percent of the civilian labor force plus all marginally attached workers. U6, that is total unemployed plus all marginally attached workers plus total employed part-time for economic reasons as a percent of the civilian labor force plus all marginally attached workers. Please also note that discouraged workers are the individuals who would like to work but have given up looking for a job. Marginally attached workers are the people who are neither working nor looking for work but indicate that they want and are available for a job and have looked for the work sometime in the recent past. Persons employed part-time for economic reasons are those who want and are available for full-time work but have had to settle for a part-time schedule. Now let's take on this exercise. Find the U1, U2, U3, U4, U5, and U6 given by the table below. To find U1, we take the number of persons unemployed 15 weeks or longer divided by the number of civilian labor force. That is 1.6 divided by 100 and times 100%, which equals 1.6%. U2, we take the number of job losers and persons who have completed temporary jobs, excludes job leavers, divided by the number of civilian labor force. That is 3.1 divided by 100 and times 100%, which equals 3.1%. U3, we take the number of unemployed divided by the number of civilian labor force. That is 6.2 divided by 100 and times 100%, which equals 6.2%. U4, we take the number of unemployed plus discouraged workers divided by the number of civilian labor force plus discouraged workers. That is 7 divided by 100 plus 0.8 and times 100%, which equals 6.9%. Note that the number of discouraged workers comes from the total number of unemployed plus discouraged workers minus the total number of unemployed. That is 7 minus 6.2 equals 0.8. U5, we take the number of unemployed plus all marginally attached workers divided by the number of civilian labor force plus all marginally attached workers. That is 8.1 divided by 100 plus 1.9 and times 100%, which equals 7.9%. Note that the number of marginally attached workers comes from the total number of unemployed plus all marginally attached workers minus the total number of unemployed. That is 8.1 minus 6.2 equals 1.9. And lastly, U6, we take the number of unemployed plus all marginally attached workers plus total employed part-time for economic reasons divided by the number of civilian labor force plus all marginally attached workers, that is 9.2 divided by 100 plus 1.9 and times 100%, which equals 9.03%. Note that the number of marginally attached workers is calculated as what we did for U5, that is 8.1 minus 6.2 equals 1.9. There is always unemployment even when the economy is doing well. The unemployment rate is never zero. It fluctuates around the natural rate of unemployment, also known as full employment. The reason for this is due to frictional unemployment, which is the unemployment that results because it takes time for workers to search for the jobs that best suit their tastes and skills. It is a voluntary transition within the economy. Workers differ from one another in terms of their skills and tastes, and jobs differ in their attributes. This makes it challenging for workers to find the right match. To help with this, government-run employment agencies provide valuable information about job vacancies. Public training programs are also essential, as they ease workers' transition from declining to growing industries and help disadvantaged groups escape poverty. Unemployment insurance is a crucial government program that partially protects the incomes of workers who become unemployed. It's designed for those who were laid off because employers no longer need their skills. However, it is important to note that those who quit their job, were fired for cause, or just enter the job market are not eligible for this benefit. With that being said, job search is the process by which workers find appropriate jobs given their tastes and skills. It's a crucial component of the labor market, and understanding it helps us appreciate the complexity and dynamism of employment trends. By considering these points, we can see why frictional unemployment is a natural part of a healthy, evolving economy. It's not just a sign of problems, but also of opportunities and growth as workers and industry adapt to new conditions. Let's discuss another significant cause of unemployment, minimum wage laws. When the minimum wage is set above the equilibrium wage, it creates a situation where there are more people willing to work at that wage than there are jobs available, leading to a labor surplus. This means that while some workers benefit from their higher wages, others may find themselves unemployed because employers cannot afford to hire as many workers. The least skilled and least experienced workers, such as teenagers, are the most affected by this policy, as they often struggle to find jobs that match their skills and experience. Additionally, some workers might be unemployed because they are waiting for better job opportunities to become available rather than taking the first job they find. While minimum wage laws are one reason unemployment exists in the US economy, they affect only a small percent of the labor force and can cause structural unemployment, such that the vast majority of workers in the economy have wages well above the legal minimum, so the law does not prevent most wages from adjusting to balance supply and demand. Here, let's discuss the impact of wages being kept above the equilibrium level and how this can lead to unemployment. This situation can occur due to several reasons, including the presence of unions. First, unions are worker associations that negotiate with employers over wages, benefits, and working conditions. Although unions play a smaller role in the US economy today compared to the past, they are still quite prevalent in many European countries. Critics of unions argue that unions act like a cattle. This means that they cause inefficiency in the labor market because fewer workers are employed at a higher union wage. They believe that this results in higher unemployment because employers are not willing to hire as many workers at these elevated wage levels. The process by which unions and firms come to an agreement on employment terms is known as collective bargaining. Here are some examples of prominent unions. The National Education Association, which represents public school teachers. The Service Employees International Union, representing healthcare workers. The United Auto Workers, which includes workers in the automobile and farming equipment industries. The Teamsters, which represent truck drivers and warehouse workers. So, whenever wages are kept above the equilibrium level, whether due to minimum wage laws or the influence of unions, the likely result is an increase in unemployment. Let's take on the quiz. Question number 1. Minimum wages create unemployment in markets where they create a what? Unemployment can occur because of minimum wage laws. When the minimum wage is set above the equilibrium wage in the labor market, a surplus of labor results. This means more people are willing to work at a higher wage than there are jobs available, leading to unemployment. While minimum wage laws contribute to unemployment, they affect only a small percentage of labor force and can cause structural unemployment in specific segments of the market. Thus, the answer is D, surplus of labor. Unemployment of this type is called structural. Question number 2. If the natural rate of unemployment is 5.7% and the actual rate of unemployment is 6.1%, then by definition, there is what? Please be recalled that cyclical unemployment is the deviation of the actual unemployment rate from its natural rate. To calculate cyclical unemployment, we take actual unemployment rate minus natural rate of unemployment. Substituting the given values equals 6.1% minus 5.7% equals 0.4%. So there is 0.4% cyclical unemployment. Thus, the answer is A, cyclical unemployment amounting to 0.4% of the labor force. Question number 3. If an unemployed person quits looking for work, then eventually the unemployment rate what? The unemployment rate is calculated as the number of unemployed individuals actively seeking work divided by the number labor force, expressed as a percentage. When an unemployed person stops looking for work, they are no longer counted as part of the labor force. This reduction in the number of unemployed individuals reduces the numerator in the unemployment rate calculations. Since the labor force, the denominator, also decreases, the overall effect is a lower unemployment rate. It is the same as the labor force participation rate because of a fall of labor force. So the answer is B. The unemployment rate and the labor force participation rate both decrease. Question number 4. Cyclical unemployment refers to what? Cyclical unemployment refers to the fluctuations in the unemployment rate that occur due to changes in the business cycle. It represents the deviation of the actual unemployment rate from the natural rate of unemployment, which is caused by economic downturns, recessions, or periods of slow economic growth. So the answer is B, short-run fluctuations around the natural rate of unemployment. Question number 5. Of the following groups, who is eligible for unemployment insurance benefits? Unemployment insurance benefits are typically available to individuals who have lost their job through no fault of their own. This usually means that they were laid off due to lack of work, company downsizing, or economic downturns. Individuals who quit their job without good cause or were terminated for misconduct are generally not eligible. So the answer is B. The unemployed who were laid off because their previous employers no longer need their skills. Question number 6. Sam has no job but keeps applying to get a job with a business that is unionized. He is qualified and he finds the pay attractive. but the firm is not hiring. Sam is what? In this case, Sam is considered structurally unemployed. Structural unemployment occurs when there is a mismatch between the skills that workers have and the skills needed for available jobs. In Sam's case, he is qualified and willing to work, but the firm he is applying to is not hiring, which indicates a surplus of labor in that particular market or sector. Additionally, structural unemployment typically lasts in the long run. So the answer is A. Sam is structurally unemployed. Structural unemployment exists even in the long run. Now let's undertake the case study. Case study number 1, mismatch as a source of structural unemployment. In this case study, we explore how mismatches between job seekers and firms can lead to structural unemployment. Structural unemployment arises from imbalances between the skills of available workers and the needs of employers. Consider the following scenarios where such mismatches occur. Mismatch in skills. Suppose we have a situation where workers are trained as truck drivers, but firms are looking to hire computer technicians. This discrepancy creates a gap in the labor market where there are plenty of truck drivers but not enough computer technicians. Mismatch in education. Imagine a scenario where many workers have dropped out of high school, yet firms are seeking college graduates. The lack of alignment between the educational qualifications of job seekers and the requirements of employers creates another form of structural unemployment. Geographic mismatch. Consider workers who are tech-savvy and living in Tennessee, but firms are hiring tech-savvy individuals in Silicon Valley, California. This geographic mismatch means that while there may be skilled workers available, they are not in the locations where firms are hiring. In response to these mismatches, wages for truck drivers, high school dropouts, and tech-savvy workers in Tennessee would generally fall because there is an oversupply of workers relative to the demand for their skills. Conversely, wages for computer technicians, college graduates, and tech-savvy workers in Silicon Valley, California would rise due to a higher demand relative to the supply of qualified candidates. In the real world, wages do not always adjust quickly or fully to these changes in demand and supply. Consequently, this misalignment leads to a surplus of truck drivers, high school dropouts, and tech-savvy workers living in Tennessee who are unable to find suitable employment despite their availability and skills. This situation exemplifies how structural unemployment can persist even when there are unemployed individuals ready and willing to work. Let's delve into case study number 2, which discusses a recent CNBC article titled U.S. Economy Added 206,000 Jobs in June. Unemployment rate rises to 4.1%. I encourage you to read the full article to grasp the detailed context. For now, I'll provide a summary of the key takeaways. First, we see that non-farm payrolls increased by 206,000 jobs for the month of June. This indicates a solid addition to employment, reflecting ongoing growth in the job market. Second, despite this increase in jobs, the unemployment rate unexpectedly climbed to 4.1%. This level is noteworthy as it matches the highest rates we've seen since October 2021. The rise in the unemployment rate might suggest a few underlying factors at play. Third, average hourly earnings saw an increase of 0.3% for the month. Over the past year, wages have risen by 3.9%, aligning with the anticipated estimates. This suggests that while job growth continues, wage inflation is also a key aspect to consider. This summary captures the essential information and highlights the main trends and anomalies In the job market data,